Hey guys, we're going to compare my favorite Art Nouveau Tarots. If you haven't already, I strongly recommend any one of these decks, especially if you love lavish decorative arts that is somewhat romantic, floral with dashing style. They are very attractive cards that we are going to compare against each other. Now, if after this video you guys still want me to do a separate vid for any one of these cards, just leave me a comment. Now, I've already done the Golden Art Nouveau, so there will be a thumbnail to direct you or to look under the video description. The decks we are going to compare against each other is the Toro Mucha, the Ethereal Visions Toro, and the Golden Art Nouveau. So those will be the decks that I'm going to be comparing every single one of the cards against. So let's take a look at our boxes. First off is the Golden Art. The box, it's a one-piece box, not very protective of your cards, very basic, but it's got this very nice sort of golden foil all around it, which kind of gives you an indication and highlights to you what this deck is going to look like. So great presentation wise there. A stronger box, two-piece box for the Ethereal Visions Toro. Very, very nice and very protective of your decks. Beautiful design all around, and again it's got these golden foil, quite delicate and very luxurious kind of feeling towards it. So I believe this one is a lot more protective than the Golden Art Nouveau. And then Mucha here again, I think excellent as well, probably the best out of all of them. It's a one-piece box with pretty much plenty of protection for your cards in there. So that is what the boxes will look like that will be holding your cards. I think the Mucha and the Ethereal one is pretty good. So inside the Ethereal, when we open it up, you get this small white booklet guidebook, which is okay. And then you're presented with the cards there, so that's what you get. And then if we look at the Mucha, pretty much the same. That one opens from the top, you get your cards, and that comes with a very nice booklet as well. You could see it here, very protective, very nice. Again, it depends if you want the two-piece or if you want the one-piece. So that's what you get here. And in the Golden Art Nouveau, it's that one, you could see how flimsy the box is. It's not great protective wise for your deck. You get the cards in there and you get the little guidebook as well. So out of the three, this one I think is the worst, even though it's got a very nice gold foil design. So let's have a look at this one. So we've got, with everything taken out of the box, this is what overall each cards will look like, and they each have their own particular design at the back of their the cards, each unique. Closer look at the guidebook of the Golden Art Nouveau. It's a very small guidebook. You've got, you know, at least 5 different languages, basic free spread there. It gives you a very minimal introduction. The meanings of each decks, again, it's very minimal, so you are going to kind of need to be an experienced tarot reader here. The Mucha, very thick fat book. I think it's the best book out of the 3, and it's all very colorful as well. You could see here it is in various different languages, but again, full colored, and it gives, there's plenty of information in this booklet. As you'll see, it gives you a good few pages worth of introduction. I think there's at least 6 pages worth of introduction in each language, full colored and very clear to understand, so it doesn't really skip out on anything. You could see here the meanings, gives you plenty, so you get a good page and a half worth, and then you've got kind of little sort of like key wordings. Everything's very clear. Out of the 3, this one has the best booklet, best explanation of each cards. Lastly, we've got the Ethereal. It's in only one language, it's only in the English language. You can get it in other languages, but from what I have here, it gives you a good 2-3 pages worth of introduction, explains a few of the stuff, jumps straight into the meanings, and again, it gives you a lot more than you would have on the Golden Art Nouveau. So this one will be like the second best booklet out of the three, where it also gives you the unique part here. It gives you the astrological correspondence of each deck, where the other two don't really give you that. The design at the back of the cards, they're very sort of lavish in their own way. Here with the Golden Art Nouveau, it's not really golden designish at the back. That's only, you would only find that in front of the card, but you've got sort of like, it's more floral, so you've got the trees, the sun there blossoming out, and you've got the moon in there. Again, quite delicate. When it comes to the Mucha, it's very artistic, very decorative overall, very true to the Art of Nouveau. You've got the female presence there. The pictures very nice, details very artistic, brilliant. Out of the two, it has to be number one, the best. And then here we've got the Ethereal, where you've got sort of like two shield in there, flower. I don't really like the back as much here. I think it's between the two, Golden Art and this one here. So that's what the back will look like. And cards quality wise, it's a matte finish for the Ethereal. The Mucha is the glossiest one in the middle there, and the Golden Art Nouveau, it's kind of between the two. So you could see here where the middle is much more glossier, one is matte, and one is kind of semi-gloss sort of thing. In terms of sizes, the Golden Art is the smallest one, your regular Toro size, and then it goes on a little bigger and like more Oracle size. In terms of stock quality, the Golden Art here is very thin. It's okay, but I think you need to be more careful. The best one out of all of the two is the Mucha here. Solid quality, and it's a lot thicker as well. So out of the two, this one will be the better card. And then lastly, you have the Ethereal here, which is like an Oracle size card for a Toro. It's not bad. Thickness, again, it's between thin to medium. It's pretty much between the two. You could see it compared each other, the thinnest one, the one that's more thick, and the one underneath, which is kind of like between the two. Design, each of them will have border design where it's kind of like a mirrored, they're mirrored. So you've got the image in the center covered by this mirror with its own unique sort of like design. So it won't, well, it's not really truly borderless. So it's like images are well in the center, and the images for each of the cards are very sharp, very clear, and detailed in its own way. Now you'll also notice how two decks have gold foil into it. You've got the Ethereal here, where it kind of like, it's more outline, and it's very specific as to what part of the deck has the gold foil. In the Golden Art, it's oil gold foil pretty much in majority of the image. That's primarily what the deck is of. A closer look at the back, we've got the Golden Nouveau here. You could see it here, it's kind of like I guess it's semi-gloss matte sort of finish. And in front of the deck, very clear, beautiful design. Again, there's a lot more gold foiling in the center there. Here we don't have any gold foiling. Again, very elegant, beautiful floral sort of artistic design in front of the deck. You can see how very clear the image is. Beautiful artistry work, a lot of emotion in this deck. And there for the Ethereal, very standard basic design. At the back, it's a matte finish, and in front you've got the kind of golden foil in particular areas of the deck, with an image right in the center as the main focus. So here are the decks. We're going to literally have a closer look at the major arcanas of each of these cards. So let's have a look. Now I'll tell you straight off, my number one out of the three is the Golden Art Nouveau, and that's the first one there to your left. Primarily because of the traditional design and all the symbolism are all in place. Second will be the Mucha, and then the Ethereal. But you could see here how each of them very elegant, and in terms they all follow the RWS system, and a lot of the symbolism are still intact. In the Golden Art Nouveau, you could see here in the Fool, it pretty much has everything. It's more of a duplication. And in the Mucha, it kind of does its own thing. Again, more towards the decorative arts of the Nouveau movement. And then the Ethereal there tends to pay more attention to the key aspects of the card. So you see a lot more of the character in there. So you could see here, there's from left to right, you'll notice each particular card seems to be missing one or two symbolism until you get to the right end completely to the Ethereal. It will be missing most of the various different symbols. You could see here in our Magician one, we've got the traditional Magician there. You've got pretty much all of the symbols, all of the tools. In the Mucha in the middle there, it's a female instead with still all of the tools in place. Maybe some symbols are missing, but again, it's pretty much close enough. You get the full gold foil in there, which is very, very elegant and very beautiful. And in the center here, you don't have the gold foiling, but the design, the decorativeness, the artistry is very, very beautiful. And then the Ethereal here, you get bits of the tools on the outer sort of border of the image. Again, focus purely a lot more on the character. Majority of the card space is also taken out by the wording. So on the Ethereal, you see it's got massive wording to indicate to you the card. I guess that's one of the negatives with the Ethereal, where it's a lot of the space. I don't think it was necessary to be taken up by the wording. I know, you don't necessarily have to fit the wording. If you have several sort of Toro, you kind of already know what these cards are. It's okay, it's good to have, but the other two you could see here, it's just got the Roman numeral sort of like indication on top, and also at the bottom there will be no sort of like wording. So we've got a high priestess there. Again, majority of the symbolisms are there. Again, from the left you got all of it traditional. In the center it does its own and keeps various aspects, and then with the Ethereal it tends to take most of it off, but you get a blown up version more of the character. Here we've got the Empress again. We're pretty much following the same theme. With the golden art section of the card, will have a lot more of the golden foil, which makes it very beautiful and elegant. And that's its way of kind of showing you its Art Nouveau sort of like design and artistry work there. And with the Mucha, it's more towards, it leans more towards like that full movement of the Art Nouveau. And then the Ethereal here in its own artistic way. Bit section of it is, it's pretty much the three cards. This is why I have all of them. It's because there's various different elements of each card that kind of like makes it kind of completes each other. You've got full traditional meaning, full symbolism in one. In the other, there's a lot more emotions being put on display, and another is more of a sort of like a stance, sort of like an approach. So they each have their strengths and weaknesses, and brought together pretty much makes a complete sort of like set of deck. Even in terms of when you compare the quality of the cards, where the golden art quality is not really great. That will be its weakest point in terms of the stock of the card. In the center, very strong, the best out of all of them, will last you a very long time. And then the Ethereal, it's kind of between the two. So that's why I pretty much have all three of them. They make a great complete set. Very, very nice. It's kind of difficult to sort of like not want one versus the other unless you're like absolutely sure that is it, that's what you prefer. If it's the symbolism, you're definitely going to go for the golden Art Nouveau on the right. And if you're after a little bit but something new mixed up on its own, you'll go for the Mucha, something completely different, not so much attention paid to the traditional symbolism and having everything involved. You'll go for the Ethereal. Here we've got the Lovers card. Very different, separate. And in the other two cards, you see there's more of an embracement here going on. In terms of indication of choices, it's difficult to see that in the Ethereal and the consequences, but yet you could see here in the two, the Golden Art and the Mucha, they kind of have that indication there. So you could see the fiery side, and then you see the greener side in Eden, and it's the same in the Golden Art Nouveau. The Chariot, again, each has their own unique way of portraying the Chariot. The first two decks on the left, Golden Art, and in the center, Mucha, it's quite similar. Again, there's bits of things missing, it's like slight little movements. Characters are very different. And the Ethereal will kind of like focus on maybe 2-3 aspects of that card. But either way, it's kind of like clear to see, clear to understand each card's, the strength card, very different. On the Golden Art Nouveau, you could see here there's a lot more illustration of the force. You could see the line, the teeth sticking out, the force. There's a lot more feelings and emotion here. The expression on her face and also the line. And here in the center, it's somewhat toned down. And here in the Ethereal, it's, again, I don't think it's the best out of the three. It's okay. I think the other two are more towards the traditional. So that was our first lot of the Major Arcanas. Moving on to the remaining cards, we've got our Hermit, very different. One is traditional. I like that a lot. You've got sort of like the sceneries, indication of where the Hermit is, the lantern. And then in the center there with the Mucha, you have a female instead. But you could see what's missing is the staff. There is no staff from what I could see there, but at least there's the environment there. And in the Ethereal, you've got the staff, you've got the lantern, but yet the environment, you're not quite clear as to where the character is. So there's a lot more going on in the first two cards, which I prefer. Very nice. You see there, each of them, it's like they're missing bits from each other. So that is our Hermit. Wheel is very different as well. Traditional wheel, you got the sacred direction, you've got the elements around, and in the center wheel, very, very different, very nouveau type of wheel in the Mucha in the middle. So the wheel with the sort of like direction, you have a windmill in the background there, or you've got the flower, you've got the time in there. In terms of the elements, I guess the weather. So you see there's little bits there missing. And the wheel here in the Ethereal looks like more of a death card there. You've got the elements indicated right there on top. You've got the wheel being held. Very interesting, that one. Very interesting. So they kind of spice up. The more we go through each of these cards, you'll see how it kind of moves things around. Some parts is better than the other. Our Justice card here. You've got the scales still in place, the sword. It's missing the jewelry, I'll say, but yet in the Mucha, you've got the big jewel there. Sword, you got the scale. Pillars as well is indicated there. A lot more sort of like visible in the image. And then with the Ethereal, again, it does it slightly different. You do get the scales, the sword, but you have a inclusion of the owl as well. We move to our Hangman, very different. One, very traditional. Each of them do have the halo around each of the characters in a different manner. It's been shown there. The first two here looks as though they've been suspended and tied on. But the Ethereal one, you can see he is tying himself on there on purpose. So slightly different there. Again, mostly focused on the character. Death card, very different card, different phases. So on this death, you got the pillars all the way at the far and at the back. Death is coming in, and then you've got the characters there that's pleading as well, not letting go. You see a sense of death that's taken place. And in the Mucha in the middle, it's pretty much as though death has already approached and whatever needed to end has ended. So that's the kind of feeling I get there. You still have the pillars there in the background. You've got the sun rising as well. But here in the ethereal, it's very, very different. Very different type of death compared to the others. Interesting. I guess there's a lot more to read, a lot more intuitive reading there. Our temperance as well. The first two are very similar. So you've got the foot, you could see there, 1 foot in the water. You've got the elements being balanced out. It's a very sort of floral design, beautiful design there again of an angel. And this one here, it's not really angel of the Mucha, it's more of an actual person. And in the ethereal, again, looks like an angel, gold foiling on the wings, balancing the elements. But yet, footing-wise, you don't know where that is. So that's what's missing there. Our devil, very different devils again. One is very traditional. You got the devil really centered in the golden Art Nouveau. In the Mucha in the middle, it's a female holding... scaling up the male and female there. You got a lot of fiery passion there. I feel there's a lot more sort of emotions when it comes to the Mucha cards. You know, each deck I've tend to, if you want to feel a lot of emotions coming out of the imagery, I think the Mucha here displays a lot more emotions between the two other decks. The ethereal is, I guess it lacks emotions in the ethereal. It's more very artistry. So in terms of elegancy and artistry, the ethereal I think wins it out. It's really spectacular to look at. The golden Art Nouveau, there's a lot of information. There's a lot of key details in the golden Art Nouveau. In the Mucha in the middle, it's pretty much it has sufficient amount of details, but yet it kind of shows a lot more emotions. You could see it here, top bling blown off, a lot of things going on, a lot of colors there. Very beautiful artwork. You can see here at the edge of the cliff. Versus the ethereal one, the tower didn't look as though much was going on there. Again, I think it's literally between the golden art and the Mucha. The stars, very different. You got traditional basic imagery of the star, and then in the middle there's a lot more going on. There's movement. It kind of draws you in a lot more as to, you know, what's going on here. The character is holding the star in their hands. So I like that one. Again, from each image, each deck has its strong image versus the other. The more you kind of like move on. In the ethereal here, very basic, very different. There are key things that are missing. So here is our last major arcanas of the decks. We're looking at the moon. Again, different moon. You see how you're missing the wolf and the dog and the crab. You've got the moon on display there, which can be a sun, but at the background you see it's kind of dark. It's just its way of the illumination of that. And here I think it's a lot better, but yet you are missing the crab. And you are missing the two opposing forces. And here with the ethereal, it's missing a lot. It's missing a lot. I guess you can tell by the shading of it and the foiling that it is the moon. Sun, very different again. The first two kind of illustrate the sun in their own manner. I feel in the middle it somewhat is better. So you've got the sun there, traditional imagery. Yeah, instead of a baby, kind of like the child is somewhat older. And here you've got a lot more. You both have the sunflower, which here you could see it's missing. Well, it does have the sunflower there in its own way, but other stuff is missing. It's more of a female in that one. Judgment, very different judgment. Each very unique. You got the traditional judgment there, the angel blowing of the horn. You've got various different characters. A lot of events going on in this one here. So very traditional. The Mucha, I think, it's okay as well. It's a lot scarier though. So that one is quite frightening without the horn. So I guess it's frightening, the first one with the horn, and that one hasn't got it. This one is very different. It looks as though everyone is ascending. Judgment has taken place and they're transcending to the next phase. And lastly, we've got the world. Very traditional one. Second one in the middle. Again, it keeps that in place. It probably takes out 2 ones that she has in the traditional one. That's the only factor missing. You've got the elements around here. You've got them, different placement. Elements are still highlighted. A completion. All 3 do have females, but again, there's certain key symbols missing from each of the cards. Now, you do get extra cards with the Ethereal. You've got the Artist, and then you get the Wheel. The other 2 don't have any extra special cards. We're going to take a look at our suits. Quite fairly similar, again, also unique. The aces, I find the aces to be kind of true with the entire deck itself. So we got our coins. We're looking at our pentacles, our coins, whichever you want to call it. Earth energy, very traditional. All hands are coming out of a cloud, so they've got that in common, each holding of the coin. The Ethereal there in the middle, it has 2 hands though, versus the 1 with the other 2. Again, the wording. You could see the wording for the Ethereal of what deck is that we're looking at. Sometimes the fonts are not that easy to read for the Ethereals. The other 2, you'll have the number on top, and then at the bottom you'll have the symbol of the coins as an indication. Again, majority of the movements, symbols is kind of true to the wider weight. You've yeah, they're okay. They're kind of like similar here. We've got our 3 pentacles. You've got the 3 coins highlighted in each deck. But again, one you see is more sort of like traditional and supportive role happening here in our 3. So a true indication of teamwork. Also here in the Ethereal as well, you've got this sort of like teamwork. It's more elegant. And the other one there, it's more hardworking. A lot more concentration. And our 4s of pentacle, very true. You got a female with the Ethereal with the 4, but yet you can see the sort of like hold it on tightly with each of them footing with coins underneath, so that's kept, and also in their hands as well. And still you've got the coins on top of their head, so you can see what they're thinking of. So that's pretty good with all 3 cards. Our 5, again, it's a bit different with the Ethereal here. Well, they're kind of all different. You've got 2 characters. Again, you've got the windows there. You've got the heavy burden snow happening outside. This one, it's Ethereal. It's difficult to tell where it's at. This one, it's 1 person, but again, there's a lot more emotions here. You feel a lot more emotion with the Mucha deck. The 6, generosity, give and take. Very traditional with the golden Art Nouveau to the right here. Coins clearly highlighted, beautiful gold foiling, scale of even balance of give and take. In the Ethereal, you've got a female instead, still with the scale. In the Mucha, again, similar but kind of different sort of characters. Our 7, harvesting, very traditional on one end. They're pretty much exactly the same, so they're good. Even the Ethereal here, is pretty good, pretty standard. So there isn't quite a lot that they had to pull out of here. So it isn't bad. But I guess you're missing out one more sort of coin still waiting to fruition. But they're pretty good all around here. Art 8, craftsmanship. Again, I feel there's a lot more emotion in the Mucha to the right. Here, it seems as though they're quite passionate and enjoying themselves. Same here, more concentrative, I would say, with the Ethereal. A lot more emotion, a lot more hardship is really taking place here in our 8 for the Mucha. So I think that one is the better one. Our 9s, again, very luscious 9s, very successful. Indication each of the garden. So very traditional here. Very nice. I like the gold foiling as well on top. And then with the ethereal coins are highlighted underneath the garden there. It looks more sort of like, again, dress-wise, she looks more relaxed, sort of like laid back. And here it's very luscious. It's very sort of like indulge in the success of the 9. We move on to our 10. Heritral here, very evident. So you got families around, the coins, legacy. Here, there's less people, so you've just got smaller family member inheritance just between, I guess it's kept within the family. Here, again, slightly different. So very different. I think the first one was much better. We look at our court cards, the Pentacles court cards. Again, very different, but sort of like true to the traditional. That was our page. Our knight, blown up image. Our knight here, you won't see the horse, where the other two does have the horse. Our queens, very true to the queens, but again, there's a lot more on the right and the left versus the ethereal in the center. And our kings of pentacle, a lot more to the right and left, and a lot more focus on the character itself in the ethereal. We move on to our wands. Again, like I said, the aces of each suits tends to kind of like be pretty much spot on for all 3 cards. It's just displayed a lot more comes out of it. So each, again, hands both coming from the same direction, from the right out, each holding its own various version of the wands. Very nice. We move on to our 2 of wands. Again, I prefer this. I mean, this is where the ethereal, I think, starts to pick itself up. So you've got here in the golden art, pretty standard with the globe in the hand, planning ahead. And here you've got, I think it's nicer, really up there, looking well out into the horizon. Here, it's similar to the first one, but we've got an imagery of a female, again with the globe in the hand, where the other one, like the overall picture, was kind of displaying the globe. 3, you got the wands of each on display, but again, the visibility or the perspective view is very different. When one seems kind of close to the character, the other one, it gives you here, the ethereal, more of an open world view, a bigger horizon, and the Mucha kind of similar to the first one. We've got us 4 wands, stability, old, grounded, which is kind of nice to see. More celebrativeness, more celebration in the golden art, I feel, or the Mucha as well. With the 4, with the ethereal, it's very minimal. It's not the best. It's not the best versus the 2. Our 5s, they seem to be equally good for each. I mean, you've got a quite fierce battle going on and conflicts there, competition. In the Ethereal, I don't know, it feels as though they're just playing around versus the other two where you can really feel a lot more of the competitiveness taking place, the conflicts here. I feel the Mucha does a much more better job out of the three. 6 different crowds at the back. The Ethereal one has a lot more people in the background. So I guess bigger responsibility there. Again, the character looks fairly sort of proud, standing tall. And again, it looks like you got an army of people there in the background. Whereas opposed to the 2, just a few sort of like people. We move on to our 7 of Wands, standing one's ground. Again, it's not bad, very traditional. They're pretty much equally the same, but from different perspectives. The Ethereal here, you're looking more at the back versus in front. And then Mucha is pretty much the same. R8s, you've got they're all pretty much the same, different. The ones, different position, what's moving more forward. But with the Mucha, you have a character. You got the female character in there, so that's slightly sort of different there. That's the added part. Our 9s, each with their own emotion. Here, it's not so bad. Not much feelings from that one. This one, yeah, you get a lot more feeling from that one. This one, I'm not quite sure where I stand, how I feel about that one. It's quite difficult. The 10, I think the golden art here is a lot better with the 10 there. You've got at the background there, the house coming near to an end. This one is not bad as well. You could see the hardship, the journey coming possibly near to an end. You can't see in front, only from where he's come from the back. I don't know about this one. This one, I guess she's taking a rest, tired. So I don't think that one is the best. In terms of our court cards, our young page, I really don't like this young page. They don't really look like a young page to me in the Golden Art Nouveau versus the other 2 here where you could see, yes, this is the young page. And I like it here with the Mucha where you have the volcano. That's a nice sort of like inclusion here, added part there. Knight, not bad knight. The illustration of the horse there, the expression, the pyramids, you've got that there. With this one, I don't know how to feel about this one here. It's mixed feelings. Again, the Ethereal is so for me. Here, it's pretty good. It's nice. And then you could see here on top, there's the indication of the knight. And then at the bottom, you'll have the sort of like the wands highlighting to you that you're on the wands versus the Ethereal. You'll have it written. We've got our queens. You could see each has a cat. Wait, no, actually. The Mucha is missing the cat, but yet you have a volcano in that one, but yet no volcano in the other 2. The lions, pillars, you only have it on 2, yet missing on the other one. So there's certain things missing from each, or certain resemblance on each. Our wands, very different as well. Very different. Got the lizard in each of the imagery, either depicted on the throne, each with a wand. We move on to our swords. Very different. Standard here, out of the clouds. This one, the sword's been held differently. Really been held on the blade. Again, each very unique. Very unique design. Our 2s are very standard. Very standard with the 2s. There's not much to show, but at least, again, we're missing sort of like the moon. But I suppose with the Ethereal, The sort of like shading of it looking as though it's night would be the indication of the moon. But again, it's pretty close when it comes to the golden Art Nouveau and Mucha. I think are fairly close. Like here, for me, the best one is the one to the right. The Mucha one, I think, is the best, because not only do you have the indication of the heart, but you've got a lot more emotion being displayed with the character. The tears coming out of her eyes. It's very, very strong. Very, very sort of, you could feel the emotions there. It really draws you in. So again, you've most likely noticed by now, going through each cards, I feel the Matcha has a lot of emotions, in there. The Ethereal seems to be missing a lot of that. But here, I do like this here. Here, it's the Four of Swords, the resting. It's as though you're looking in the coffin with the Ethereal there, with the character. So that's pretty different. That's pretty nice. The others, they're more or less outside, and they're kind of like showing towards the character from different angles. So the Ethereal is pretty good on that one here. Fives, they're all pretty good, but again, the emotions, I feel a lot more emotions with the Matcha for some reason. I always have done. And when I'm going to do Torah and use between these three decks, if I want to feel a lot more, I'm always tend to go for the Matcha one versus the other two. With the golden art, is if I just want the, to keep the whole traditional thing, but just a lot more blown up. Six, very different. Six, the Ethereal six, he's going off alone, retreating alone, to heal. Got the swords there, versus the other two where they are being taken to recover. You've got the swords surrounding them, protecting them on each image. Being taken to safety. Moving on to something new. You also have one person in the Matcha card versus the golden art. In this one, I think the best one is here. Our seven here, you could see how the character here is a lot more deceptive, very cunning, sneaky character. You really feel that seven of swords. Here, I guess I don't like it as much. I guess he's gotten away with it. He's proud. I like the cloak with the swords on there. And this one here, I don't think it's the best one. I think the golden art was much more better. The Ethereal second. Eight, it's a very different eight. This one, the golden art eight, I think is the best here. You could just make out there's a sword right behind her where she can get away. With this one here, with the Ethereal, it looks as though she's fully aware that she's capable of, freeing herself. It seems entertaining to her. Here, I guess I'm not sure how to feel about this one, to be honest. This one is the best here. You could see right between her, at the back of her hands tied up, there seems to be a sword there. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, there isn't, but it seems as though she's it's more true reflection there. 9, ooh, very unique 9. I think the Ethereal gets this one. Here, the golden art, very traditional. But the 9 here of swords, you could actually see the nightmares. I like that one. That's well done. Little shading of the black at night there on top. Here, it's okay. Yeah, I don't like it as much as the other two, but I think the Ethereal here did a great job. 10s. Ooh, I think here it has to be this one. It has to be the Matcha's 10 is, wow, that's very strong. Look at that one. Yeah, it's definitely, battle has come to an end. It's brutal. This one here, it's as though he was taking a walk and he then got stabbed and just been left there, which isn't bad as well. Very traditional here. Not bad. They're pretty good either way, but I think this one here is the best one. A lot of emotions in that one. our court cards. We've got our page again, female page of sword here. The other one, is it a female? I believe it's a female as well, female page. You got the environment, a sense of the air happening here. Not bad as well. The characteristics of the characters are each being displayed. Wind seems to be blowing in the two to the right and left. Our knight, very different. So the knight of the Ethereal, don't really like that one. Here, very traditional. You could see the fast movement of the Knight of Sword, the winds, the clouds, the power striving of the horse, the knight. This one here, I don't like it. It looks as though the horse is just exhausted. Maybe he's pushed this horse so bad and the horse just can't do it anymore, just knackered. Here, this one, it looks as though the horse is trying to, like, doesn't want to go, but he's forcing it to move. I love the way they've done the sort of like the helmet there. That's very nicely done. Our queen, yeah, the golden art on the left is I think is a perfect illustration of the Queen of Sword. You don't want to mess with her. She's yeah, very very nicely done. In this one, more sort of relaxed Queen of Sword. I guess still don't put your guard down with her. Here, she looks fully confident and relaxed. Her sword's right there in front. It's not bad. It's not bad. Our kings, golden art does a good job. Ethereal king is also not bad. Not bad. Emotions held back nicely. I think the Ethereal does it better in terms of the characteristics of the character. But outside of the character, the other activities going on behind is very limited. The Mucha, didn't really like that one. And lastly, our last suits is our cups. Aces, very standard. Each hand coming out. The Ethereal seems to be from a different direction. It's doing it differently compared to the other two. The other two has a lot more sort of like overflowing of the water. Two of Cups. Again, the Ethereal is very minimal. I guess the shading of the cups is how you know they're two different. They're different. I still don't like it as much versus the other two. There's a lot more emotion. There's a lot more activities going on. It helps to have stuff in the background, I feel, to it's pretty much what makes up the whole entire story as to also what's going on. The Ethereal, I think, is not great out of the two cards. Celebration, again, the Ethereal I don't think is the best here. The other two you could definitely tell they're celebration. Here it looks as though they're, I don't know, praying or showing thankfulness, I suppose, is as close as I could come to what that looks like to me personally. To you guys it may be completely different. Real celebration here taking place. Again here, actual celebration taking place in their own elegant way and manner. We've got the Four of Cups. Again, the Ethereal is very different. You could tell, you could see here in the golden art, you see the cups was full. This one, I don't like it. Seems like, yeah, he doesn't care. I don't know. Cups looks empty. One just floating with the wing. This one's coming out of the cloud. He's really not paying attention. But yet in front here, you could see the cups are full. The cups are filled up versus the others where they are not. Similar here, but we've got a female. And the cups again is not full. Filled up compared to the golden art. So to me, I prefer the golden art one. Fives, again, very, very different. You got males, 2 males, and the other one we've got the female. You got in the distance, the building, you got the bridge right there. You could see the bridge in each card. The guy's facing his back. They spilt. The building's there. It's hard to tell if that one's spilt. In this one, you can see it. Building at the back. The bridge is there as well. So yeah, they're not bad. Either one is pretty good. You can see there, just making sure you got the river, the bridge, river to cross, the bridge. Yeah, pretty good. 6. Very nice. I can't. Well, the Mucha. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the Mucha. It's pretty good here. The person, you've got a person, the adult there walking away. That face is passing on. 2 children and the building, the adult at the very back there. And this one, it seems as though you've got the soldiers moving on there. So it's okay in its way. 7. I don't like the ethereal one again. It doesn't hit the mark for me. Not bad, this one here. You could see the various different choices what they present. Person reaching out. This one here completely different. I also like what they've done with the border though. You got the snakes there. This one, to me, this one's pretty much the best one. It's very clear, a lot going on. Not bad, not bad. 8. I guess different perspective. Here in the ethereal, the 8, the cups are behind him. He's looking ahead. There's the pathway highlighted. The golden art here, yeah, he's definitely left it all behind. There's the moon, same, each of them have the moon. This one here is a bit different, where she's walking past it with the moon to her back. Very unique. 9. R9, which one is better? I'm not sure. Quite standard here. The cups on display. And this one here, they're kind of like around and in front. I like this one, I think. Again, it's a female versus the other 2 with the male. 10. It's very different. I kind of like the ethereal here, 10. It's like 10 of cups, completion, new family member, addition to the family there. That's very nice. That's very nice. With the golden Art Nouveau, it's like the family's all grown up, you know, they're kind of like celebrating. You've got the house in the background and everything. Here, sort of like a family outing, more or less, here. So again, from a different, they're each pretty good. Our court cards, young pages, got 2 females, am I right in that one? No, that's a male. Yeah. Again, a lot of water, movement of water at the back, each holding the cups and the fish. One is more expressive. The waves, I believe these are waves, are more sort of like up versus the other 2 where there's gradual movement of it. So they're not bad. Very different ways of illustrating the emotions. A knight. I think the ethereal knight is a lot more romantic in the center. This one, there's too much. Poor horse. Really sort of like dolled up here. Yeah, it's so-so to me. I like this one here. You know, it's got the cups, his expression in his face, very romanticizing of the knight. This one, not so great in the face and impression there. It's so-so. So that is the Knight of Cups. We're looking at our queens. Very beautiful queens. Very, very nice. I like all of them. Very Very nice queen. There's a lot more, I feel, in the Golden Art Nouveau to the left. This one here, it's not bad. That one, in terms of the character in itself, is pretty good as well. I like the way it's been done there. So each symbols, it's not bad. This one is okay. I think this one is the better one. And lastly, we have our kings. The Mucha king is very expressive. You could see the seas there. It's very expressive of emotions. A lot of that on display. He seems cool, collective, very balanced emotion. I like that one. Very nice. This one, not much of it on display. I guess it's held in, well balanced as well, but with the waves out. So there you go, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Quite an extensive sort of look. I did it the best that I possibly could. So those are my 3 favorite Art Nouveau decks. The Toro Mucha one is a fantastic deck. It really is. The imagery is awesome. It stays true to the Rider-Waite-Smith. Little bits of things are missing. It does it in its own unique way. The box is awesome. The card quality is outstanding. Booklet provides loads of information. The Ethereal is pretty good. Very elegant. It's very unique. It does its own thing. But it's missing quite a bit of symbolisms from the traditional Rider-Waite, but it's okay. I guess the book is not too bad. So yeah, it's kind of like a between. It's not bad, but quite fairly different in terms of if you're looking at the traditional. The Golden Art Nouveau, it's my favorite out of the 3. It's my number 1. The Mucha was number 2. It's awesome. The imagery is very traditional, very standard, a lot more blown up. You could pick up so much. There's a lot of details within it. It's just let down by the overall stock quality, the box, and not much information in the book. But if you are already knowledgeable with the Toro, then it's not bad. So these, you know, out of all the 3 of them, having a combination of it all together, makes a perfect set. Really, really does. I love each of these cards, but for me, I think it's the Golden Art Nouveau and Mucha, which pretty much stands out. Hope you guys have enjoyed.